All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Welcome to Death to Bushido, Heroes and Hardship mini campaign. Probably 2 to 3 sessions likely. If you're watching this on YouTube, do you know this will contain spoilers? Absolutely. So when this game comes out in the next few months, um, if you're going to play this game as a player, stop watching. If you're going to be a GM, this could be a helpful resource to you. If you don't know anything about the system or the game, feel free to watch, and hopefully you will pick it up at the when it's out. So we're going to get started. All right, let me get the right music going. It is 1583. And Japan is in turmoil once again. The great and powerful daimyo Oda Nobunaga is dead, as is his betrayer, Akechi Mitsuhide. Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Tokugawa Ieyasu now fight to fulfill Nobunaga's ambition and unify Japan in his stead. The great clans continue to fight among themselves as fallout of Nobunaga's death leaves a power vacuum, and the daimyos fight for every advantage. Kyoto, where the Honno-Ji incident occurred, is fairly calm. The imperial court oversees the city with guidance from Hideyoshi. The flames of the Honno-Ji died long ago, but the wreckage remains. The charred husk of the temple can be seen close by. Though the high towers of Honno-Ji had fallen that fateful day, Nobunaga lost his life. The days and months that follow the incident are fraught with disquiet in the neighborhoods surrounding the once tranquil gardens of the temple. People are moving out of the area completely. They claim the death of Nobunaga causes a foul taint upon the temple and everything surrounding it. Within the short period, many Ita have moved into the street surrounding Honno-Ji. Houses are abandoned, giving those with little a place to stay warm through the winter months. It is summer now, but the dark shadow of Honno-Ji remain. Each of you have ventured into the ghetto around Honno-Ji for your own reasons. Some are responding to a magistrate's note for aid. Others have arrived to petition the magistrate for something they wish. Whatever your reasons, each of you stand outside a small building, the white soshi screen windows faded and dingy with grime. It was an unsightly appearance for a place where a samurai would conduct business. But as you look down the street, the trend seems to be the worst of your society. Eat a mill around the streets and between small noodle and rice shops. The smell of flesh is thick in the air as a butcher does his duty. For the samurai among you, the sense of disgust is real. Even for outsiders and others, it is clear this was not an area of Kyoto filled with the promises of wealth. But with disquiet and chaos comes opportunity for those bold enough to take it. Alright. One sec. You probably have a black screen, right?
Yes.
All right. So, for the samurai among you, you were shown this letter by your lord, or a designate of your lord, and told to investigate the claims. And I will read it. Konnichiwa. I write you requesting aid. A long shadow of Nobunaga's death brings misfortune to our streets. Children go missing, men go mad. Women birth stillborn monstrosities. A darkness stirs only the code of Bushido may defend and defeat. I know your wisdom shall be great, and that you will send an emissary to investigate these dark tidings. Mori Makiko. And although it is not stated in the letter, everyone knows that Makiko is a feminine name, and so Mori Makiko is a woman. Um, your lord would have told you at some time that Mori Makiko was a female samurai, and if you look at the terms, important terms, you will see the term Ono Bugishaya, and that is a female warrior. So she is a boogie class female samurai. They do exist in history, and they do exist here. For the rest of you, you have come for your own reasons to the magistrate's office, which rests in front of you. As you gather outside, you notice in the streets there are people that cast away their eyes, particularly from the samurai who are a part of the line outside this door. And if you guys want to go ahead and roleplay your arrival and any intros that you feel like you would like to do, or just simple roleplay of you arriving, please feel free. Now's the time.
So, Father Fastino, he takes a step forward, one foot in front of the other, leaving small imprints into the dirt below him, and he looks around at the crowd. Not familiar with the language, the voices, the noises, the smells, everything wafting around him with an exotic, foreign air. He kneels down and looks over to a small boy next to him, and he whispers something. And then after he whispers something, he hands the boy a couple of coins, and the boy goes running off. And Father Fastino, as he sees lines forming and he has a sense of what's going on and where he's at, he starts making his way towards a group of people who might better have an idea of what's happening.
Yeah, Father Faustino approaches a gathering of 3 other men, 2 that he would recognize as samurai for sure, which are our players. Go ahead.
The non-samurai among the 3 is a small-ish man, clearly not a warrior, fairly well-dressed, I suppose, perhaps some semi-successful merchant.
And what about our 2 samurai?
Go ahead, Rogue.
Onozaki-san is just now. I would imagine he's just running into Katsuyori-san. Is that how I pronounce his name? Katsuyori-san.
That looks correct to me.
Yep.
So he's probably not wearing his full armor or anything. I'd imagine.
Yeah, I would think not. That would be highly unusual to walk around the streets in the capital with your armor on.
So he's wearing kind of a black robe with the flowers on it, white flowers, and his hair pulled back in a ponytail, kind of top knot, long black hair. He does have a little bit of paint on his face, but when he looks over and he sees Katsuyori-san, he says, "Ah, Katsuyori-san." And he bows at first. He hasn't seen him in a long time.
Katsuyori looks over to Onozaki. Ah, Onozaki-san. Turns to bow. How long has it been? Years, I think.
Too many years. You are all grown up.
There is still much to learn, but yes, more responsibilities. Katsuyori is in a rather standard, more official-looking colors of the Imperial note. Again, not in full armor either. Standard dress for the period.
Yeah, the two of you give your greetings and notice standing nearby. Your first indication is you see a gaijin standing very close, waiting at the same building you're waiting for. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, I'd say it's fairly typical for Katsuyori. Katsuyori looks over at Gaijin and with initial interest, but is mostly dismissive, not being a particular fan of the Gaijin being allowed in country and some of the rights that have been given to them or favors, privileges. Looks down on them from his perspective, and he sneers, but tries to enjoy the company of his fellows more.
Is the Gaijin standing alone? He's just kind of in
He's
line.
he's kind of walking towards you. It's Doc, right?
Yeah.
Onozaki gives him a stern look, and his smile that he was just looking towards Katsuyori, and as he looks over to the Gaijin, his smile fades pretty quickly. His face gets quite serious. Obvious distaste on his face.
Mitsutaka takes a slight step away from the gaijin.
Yeah, Doc. As you approach Father Faustino, you kind of notice everyone putting their eyes on you.
And as I'm kind of approaching the group slowly, just kind of taking in the sights and sounds, knowing enough before I was sent here, to kind of study the culture and at least be somewhat aware of it, knowing enough to know that they're wearing the garments of samurai, at least, assuming that they are, I continue making my way towards them. I continue to smile the entire time, and just as I approach them, a young boy runs back again, and he has a small wrapped handheld kind of a food, some kind of delicacy that he went and purchased with the coins that I had given him earlier. And as he comes back, he looks at the samurai and he looks up at me. And I take the food from him and I kneel down and I pat his head and say, "Thank you, Mario." And I stand up and take a bite out of the food and look over at them. If I am not mistaken, I believe that you are of the samurai class. Is that correct? And he looks at both men with kind of anticipation.
Doc, why don't you give me a can you give me a literacy roll? Just see just how bad your Japanese is. Yeah, he's speaking pretty good Japanese, just a slight accent.
Yeah, and Katsuyori will look at Onozaki, then back at the Gaijin. Your wide eyes do not deceive you, foreigner.
And Father Festino kind of chuckles at that. My wide eyes. That is very funny. I wouldn't have thought of that. Is there something taking place here today? Is there a reason we're all gathered here? And he kind of motions around the crowd.
Katsuyori will look about, and I imagine that each has their own business for being at the magistrate.
Onozaki will just kind of grunt and look away from him, not answering him or saying anything to him at the moment.
Father Festino, he just continues to smile and nod. He takes another bite of the tightly wrapped rice dish that's wrapped in some kind of leaf that it was steamed in. He gets to the center, and it's a hot bean curd in the middle of all the rice. And he kind of puffs his mouth out to kind of blow the heat out just a little bit. The little boy Mario laughs at him when he does that.
The little boy, is he Asian? Is he Japanese?
I don't know. I hadn't decided that, or I
Okay.
hadn't even thought that was
Okay.
an option.
Yeah, it could
I
be
s-
either. Yeah, he could be a convert to Christianity.
Perfect, and that's who he'll be. Then I guess his name wouldn't be Mario.
Maybe that's his Christian name. They would
Okay.
obviously call, brother whatever, and them not being their real name. So yeah, you guys see this Japanese boy with this gaijin dressed in Western style clothing, and then the religious garb of the West as well. And at that time, the Soshi screen pulls aside, and in the doorway is a young girl, 10, 11, something like that. And Matt, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
The young girl slides open the screen, looks to the four of you standing, and offers you all a very deep bow, particularly to both the samurai. And after a moment, they stand back upright, clasp their hands, and the magistrate will see you now, if you would like to come inside.
Katsuyori will look at the gaijin and the child that's dressed next to him. Not any obvious disdain, but just kind of deadpan, looking over, and then see the young girl in the doorway and bow ever so slightly. And you have my thanks. Onozaki-san, I believe our business may be the same. Please, let us go together.
And he smiles and nods to him. Hi, arigato. And he nods a slight bow to Aki, and then kind of motions for Katsuyori to go ahead. Dozo. And he starts to take off his shoes. And he does watch Father Faustino like a hawk, watch to see if he takes off his shoes or anything, if he's well-mannered at all.
Yeah,
or-
let's find out what he knows. Go ahead and give me a lore roll, Father Faustino.
To find all this stuff.
It's under knowledge.
There it is. I'm sure the little boy at least would have told me, right?
Yeah, probably. You can give yourself a +5.
That's a double. That's a double. Plus.
That's a double. But let's see. That would be.
He would have passed.
Yeah,
easy.
easily. Yeah. Yeah, you do, unless it's a negative, you don't need to put the 5 in there or the
Oh,
plus.
that's right.
Yeah, that's
right,
fine.
yeah.
So yeah, you know enough that you should take off your shoes. Plus, you're seeing the other people do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so Father Festino, he looks down at Mario and he takes one last bite of his rice cake and hands it to Mario and slips his shoes off and sets them next to the growing line of shoes before he steps inside, just pushing past the screen.
Aki takes a step back as all of them enter, bowing as they do, maintaining that pose. And once Father Faustino has entered, they slide the screen door closed and make their way in front and start leading Katsuyori. This way, please.
You enter the building and turn to the left, and you see almost immediately a large mat and a small table on the ground with a rack of scrolls behind the mat on a wall, and seated there is a man. Clearly, he is not a samurai. He does wear the attire of someone who would be like a what's called a yoriki, which are magistrates' assistants. They're usually low-born peasants, but a lot of them are former ashigaru and such. This man is an aged fellow, probably 40. He looks up and sees Katsuyori and Onozaki and immediately places his head on the mat in a deep, deep bow. And he waits for you to address him.
After a moment, Katsuyori would kind of let that rest just a moment, being one for tradition. You may raise your head.
The man does so. Hi! And he looks up. I am Hatsuo, Yoriki of the magistrate Morikaki.
I am Takemoto Katsuyori. And he looks over at Onozaki.
I am Onozaki-san. That's to him.
Katsuyori-sama, Onozaki-sama, what can I do for you?
We are here to respond to the letter from the magistrate. The one about the investigation for certain tidings.
Huh? What a letter? I know of no letter.
Perhaps we should speak with the magistrate directly if she is available.
You catch his face and he certainly frowns. She has been gone. I have not seen her for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Katsuyori's brow furrows and looks at Onozaki.
Questionable look on his face. And where did she go?
Sama, I am simple Yoriki. I ask not where she goes or what she does. That is her business. She did not tell me, if that is what you mean.
She spoke nothing of an arrangement or a new task.
No. She simply told me to watch over things here, and I have been since she has been gone. I thought she was leaving town.
Katsuyori exhales deeply. Perhaps you can be of some knowledge to us then. Are you lettered? Do you read?
Hi.
And he will unfurl the letter he received, and place it in front of the man. As he's reading it, we'll go over. This was sent. I was sent to investigate it by the clan, my family. My understanding was that I would speak with the magistrate to better understand these things, know more about this place, what is believed to be going on. You are of this area. Perhaps you know something.
He looks over the letter, frowning, and then sits it back down on the table for a moment and casts a glance over your shoulder, Katsuyori, to the two others particularly. Eyes narrow. He speaks to you, but he's looking at them. Hi, I can help you with this. This is all true. There's some strange business about for the last year since the incident. And he looks a bit sterner when he's looking over to the others. You two, what do you want?
And
yeah, go ahead.
Father Faustino looks surprised and looks around him and then looks back at the man speaking in his direction just to gauge whether or not he was actually talking to him.
Yeah, he's staring directly at you and Mitsutaka.
And Father Faustino looks at the other man standing next to him and tries to catch eyes with him.
Mitsu glances at the father and gestures forward. Honestly, he wants to hear why the Gaijin is here, and so he's offering him the chance to speak first.
And seeing that the man next to him is just staring at him intently as well as the other man who is speaking to the group of us, Father Faustino turns back towards him. Sir, I'm Father Faustino. I simply followed the crowd into here to gauge maybe what important business was being done. I have come from the west in hopes of maybe speaking to you, your people, your culture, and learning from you, as well as imparting maybe some things I know as well. And he's obviously kind of sputtering and looking somewhat put on the spot and confused, but trying to make the best of the situation.
He looks a bit confused himself for a moment and looks over to Mitsutaka, waiting for his response.
I am Bushido Mitsutaka. I wish to do business in this area. Have come to get permission from the Lord.
Ah. Magistrate is not here as you hear. But I get to you in a minute. And he nods. What business do you have?
I'm not sure what the correct term would be, but I run a Teahouse with geisha.
Ah, I see. You come to open new tea house in district?
Hi.
Hi. He nods. He seems completely okay with that answer. He considers for a moment. Yeah, Doc, just to cut the whisper now. Well, he is the magistrate's assistant, so although you would
Okay.
be looking to talk to the magistrate, you have overheard that the magistrate is missing. So,
Okay.
yeah. He gives Father Faustino another look for a moment, and the look that you see is kind of like, just wait, I'll deal with you later type of dismissive kind of thing, and he kind of looks back to the samurai. Apologies,
he-
Samus.
Gives that dismissive look.
Yep.
Father Faustino once again kneels down, whispers something to the little boy, and he runs off.
Yeah. He looks between the two for a moment and simply looks back to the samurai. I am sorry, Samus. What is it you would like to know?
We have come a long way at Makiko's request. We were meant to speak with the magistrate. This is not good. We need to find out where she is.
I will help you any way I can. Our Budoka are out currently. And you know Budoka are like the lowest level servants of a magistrate. They're almost like police officers. And he frowns a bit as he mentions them and says, I can see to your lodging if you will be here for days or the night.
That would be acceptable. And when the Budoka return, send them post haste to look for the magistrate. In the meantime, you will assist us. Tell me, what do you know of these happenings?
Many I would consider rumor, itas. The talk of terrors coming from Honno-Ji. I have seen nothing, but people are scared. You know of the people that leave the district. The Ita move in has been, he frowns, remorseful that they have done so. But here we are, a district of untouchables, butchers. Eh.
Is there no better way to remove this filth from the district? Put it to better use, or none will enter?
He shrugs. I have no decision there. I simply administrate this district with the magistrate, keep order, and it is surly to be sure with all the Ita criminals.
Katsuyori kind of frowns. Do you know if any have gathered among them? Ones that have influence, ones that are trouble.
Trouble, certainly. Influence? Influence over the other Ita, perhaps.
Yes, those are the ones that we seek. Perhaps there is something about the misfortune, but in my short time walking this land, I have found that men can be the cause of misfortune, especially Ita. What ones do you know that have high standing among the low?
Hi. There are some kabukimono, and if you look at your terms, kabukimono are a essentially they are mostly ronin who peacock around dressed as sometimes women, and they are a criminal element. They are the forebears of the Yakuza. So he does mention them. He says there is one among them called what's his name? Hinotaro.
And what is it about this Hinotaro that makes him known?
He leads the others, Kabukimono. They go to the businesses and make them pay koku, terrorize them, kill other Ita. Nah, he shrugs. They are Ronin.
Looks angered at the mention of Kabukimono, but regains composure. And that it is a place to start. Do you know where he spends much of his time? Any whispers, rumors, tea houses?
If you wish to know, the best way to ask is to ask the Madame of the Teahouse, Shinju. She hears all and knows all. So they say.
Yeah.
Mitsu almost chuckles at that.
So, Katsuyori nods and, very well. When you can find us appropriate lodging, we will take it. I would prefer not to be with the filth, but do what you must.
He looks to Aki. Aki-chan. He waves Aki over.
And Aki steps up and back. Hi.
You will take these samurai sama to the border house. You will pay with my own koku. And he pulls off a string of koku and passes it over to you.
Katsuyori will actually grasp his hand as he's handing over the koku to stop him. That is not necessary. We will pay for our lodging. I have been provided a generous sum from the family. No need to trouble yourself. You have been of great help already.
He nods and looks over to Mitsutaka. Samurai-sama, if I might. This one. He is looking to do the same as the madam. Perhaps he would know her mind if you would take him with you.
Kazuya would look at Onozaki and look back at Mitsutaka. And, what do you think, Onozaki?
Looks at him for a minute, up and down, and Mitsutaka, and nods over to Katsuyori, and says, I agree, maybe he could help. And then he looks over to the father and says, are there more gaijin showing up of late? What is this one doing here?
Father Faustino nods in acknowledgement to the comment that was made to him, but then looks back towards the entrance nervously. And just then, the small boy comes running in. He's got a large burlap sack, long burlap sack, and he comes running in with it. And Father Faustino smiles, and he's obviously relieved. And the boy runs up and he rubs, he ruffles the boy's hair as he takes the burlap sack from him. And he nods to Onozaki, who was questioning him. And then he turns to Hatsuo, and he bows slightly and says, Hatsuo-san, forgive me for not understanding your line of questioning earlier. Someone as intelligent as you will understand that a foreigner such as myself doesn't quite comprehend status and ranking here, and you were definitely the person that I should have been communicating this to all along. I came here to see your magistrate, and as you are empowered in her stead, this should be directed at you. And he said, I bring gifts from the West, items for sale, black powder, and arms. And he takes the burlap sack off the long item, and he pulls out his rifle and has it in both hands, crossway in front of him, and holds it out in front of him so that Hatsuo can inspect it.
Yeah, Hatsuo immediately leaps up, seemingly concerned. Oh! He just stares at the weapon.
It is with great honor that I offer this product. It seems now that this area has been overrun, that things seem to be taking a turn for the worse. Your government could use this product, this black powder. In exchange, I just wish to join these gentlemen here as they lead me through the city so that I could speak to your people. That is all I ask.
He looks at the samurai and looks back to you. Go ahead and give me a persuasion roll while you're at it.
Man.
Everybody's gangster till motherfuckers start pulling guns out.
Yeah. Of course, this gun takes like 5 minutes to reload, but nobody knows that.
Only takes 2 seconds to shoot someone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
He is completely enamored by this. He almost goes out to touch it and then pulls his hand back, realizing his station amongst the samurai. Oi. He simply looks at the samurai. He defers to them, but he is utterly impressed, losing all his inhibitions to a gaijin.
Onozaki looks over to Katsuyori and kind of whispers to him, maybe we should keep this one close.
Agreed. And Katsuyori looks at the gun, and there is more than a twinge of interest. Any family could benefit from having access to that sort of weaponry. Victory wipes away dishonor, after all. And Katsuyori looks back to Hatsuo, and you may inspect. It is, after all, your station to do so, is it not?
He gives a very fervent nod and reaches out with 2 hands and scoops the gun out of Father Faustino's grip if he allows it.
And Father Faustino just nods even more deeply as he allows him to scoop the rifle out of his hands.
Yeah, he takes the rifle and kind of clumsily puts the butt of the rifle against his shoulder. He's holding it backwards, right? So he's got his right arm on the shaft and the left arm on the trigger, but he has the butt of the rifle on his right shoulder. So it's like cross his body. He's just awkwardly holding it and plays with it for a few minutes and just shakes his head and this is powerful magic. And he passes it back over to Father Faustino.
Father Faustino nods and gently scoops it out of his hands and takes it back. And then he turns to the boy and passes it off, who quickly slides it back into the long burlap sack. And then he turns back around to Hatsuo and he says, Hatsuo-san, there is a small boat not far off the coast that carries many of these. If you allow me the honor to meet your people and mingle in your city under the supervision of these men here, I will ensure that you get the first choice of that equipment.
Yeah, Hatsuo nods very deeply. He even either dismisses or doesn't realize that you call him San, which would be a disparaging remark from a gaijin. And but he completely misses it or doesn't care. You help Morimakiko Sama, and she will help you. Help these men. Hi.
And Father Faustino nods, and he looks over to the other men that he came in here with, and he smiles at them.
And Katsuyori looks about and nods and looks at the rifle. A rifle may be a clumsy weapon, but it is powerful. If not but to aid relations and the station here, I will agree to take you around. But should swords come unsheathed, Gaijin, every man must defend himself. Keep that in mind.
And Father Faustino just nods. Yes, well, every man must defend himself, both physically and spiritually. I know where my soul is going, should I not be able to defend myself physically. So I am comfortable with this arrangement.
And Katsuyori looks at Mitsutaka. And you? You would aid us with this Teahouse business.
Mitsu bows deeply. Hi.
Well then, if there is naught else, then you may take us to this place, young lady. Looking at Aki.
Hi.
Mizaki does look around at everybody and he says, keep those guns a secret. No one should find out that there is a boat filled with them off the shore.
And Father Faustino looks at him. Yes, well, there is a lot of shoreline. No one knows where the boat is but me.
You would be surprised how devious the Ita are, but I would defer to your Western wisdoms.
And Faustina just nods at that.
Yeah, Hatsuo nods to Aiki. Take them.
Hi. Thank you. She bows deeply to Hatsuo and looks to the others, giving them all bow as well before making their way towards the screen door in front, putting on their shoes before they open the door for the four of them.
Oops, wrong layer.
As they walk along, Mitsu addresses Father Faustino. Your Japanese is very good. Where did you learn our language?
And as they're walking along, he looks at the man next to him, his robes, and smiles, the constant smile that he has on his face. I learned for several years prior to coming here. I have always wanted to come to this land and spread the gospel. It is something I have dreamt of, something I was meant to do, and earlier converts from your beautiful country that have come back to ours were so generous to offer me the ability to learn their language. They spent many hours, many days, months, and years training me. until I felt comfortable enough to come here myself.
Seems to take that in, nods. Do you read as well?
Well, that is one of the ways that I learned the language so well, is by learning the kanji, the symbols of your language. I was taught to read it and speak it. I have to admit, my writing is poor, but yes, I can read it.
Mitsu seems mildly impressed with the Padre.
You are taken across a couple of roads and turn into a larger building, which you notice is a what you would call an inn. And there is a large-bellied, balding man seated next to the door. His eyes are closed, and he's seems to be sleeping as you approach.
And Aki will go up, and if there's any way to politely get his attention.
How would you think you would do that?
If there's anything that makes noise that maybe they could kind of quickly push off the table and put back on.
Sure. There's a empty bowl on the table. You accidentally careen it off the edge, and his eyes flicker open. Oh, girl, what is it?
And she gestures to the samurai there.
He looks up and he blinks a few times. Oh, summer is summer. He puts his forehead on the table. There's kind of a thud as he does so, and you notice beside him there's a bottle of sake.
Yeah, what time of day is it?
Oh, it's about 4 or 5 p.m., something like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, as he's bowing his head, Katsuyori looks at Onozaki and just kind of gives a small smirk. And looks back at the... You may raise your head.
He does so. There's a red line across his forehead where he kind of banged it against the table. Oi, thank you. Domo. You come to Kichi for room.
Your powers of perception are astute. Yes, we do.
It is 4 bu each.
Yeah. Katsuyori will make the payment. I'm assuming he has a fairly significant amount from the...
Oh,
the
bu
coin.
is, it's some fraction of a koku. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but...
So he'll cover it for the lot of them.
Yeah, he smiles and he's missing some of his teeth. Ah, wonderful. Come, I show you. He pushes to get off the ground, kind of staggers a bit. Oh. Kiichi, too much sake, eh?
Perhaps, if you say so.
Come this way. And he takes you, walks across the room, and there's 4 Soshi screens. Oh, my best rooms. He doesn't even seem to realize that Father Faustino is a gaijin.
Yeah, and Katsuyori will look over the rooms. What are the state that they're in?
They're very, very average. They could be worse, certainly. They definitely aren't made for like Ita. Ita wouldn't stay here. It would be for mostly the merchants and, definitely not samurai class rooms, but
It'll do.
yeah.
Yeah, he looks a bit bothered, but
Mitsu pushes forward. These are your best? Do you see who these men are?
Ugh. He looks at you and looks at them. He's staggered. Hi, Samura-sama. Many apologies. We are simple here in Honno-Ji.
Nozaki nods to both of them and he says, "It is all right. These will be fine."
just to be sure that the service is more in line with what we expect.
Hey,
Will that be agreeable?
hey. You want sake? Bring you sake.
And perhaps a small meal. One more thing.
Hey?
We wish to speak with the one who owns this place.
Huh? Yeah, are you speaking of Shinju? Yeah, she would own the Teahouse, which is a different
Yeah.
building. Yeah.
Oh, the different building.
Yeah, completely different. This is
Understood.
just a boarding house.
Gotcha. Understood. Yeah, so retcon that.
Yeah,
He
that's
was not, he'll head into the room.
Yeah. He looks at Aki. Ha! You stay too with one of them, eh?
And Aki shakes their head. No, just guide.
Well, I pay you. You help me feed them, huh? He looks around. You see no food anywhere.
I would help, yes.
He grabs a couple boo and passes it over to you. You go get food. I get sake.
And they quickly count, kind of in their hand, very much like they're kind of used to just quickly counting coin, and they take it, clutching it, and quickly head out.
He nods and begins to round up the sake for everyone, and he goes to each room and will serve it to you. There's still plenty of time in the day if you're just resting or whatever. You just tell me what you would like to do. Aki eventually comes back with the food.
Zaki would mention to Katsuyori that I would maybe we should walk to the tea shop and maybe look around town a bit.
This would be a good idea. And could this be at a time when Aki is serving us food?
Sure.
Yeah, so as Aki's in the room, but Onozaki-san, we are not familiar with Honno-Ji, yet we do have one within our presence that is. He looks at Aki.
Aki. Hi, Samurai-sama. I'm here to guide you wherever you need to go.
That is very good. It will not be without benefit. Those who assist samurai when they are trying to discover the root of a grave issue will be properly rewarded.
I am deeply honored. Thank you. And Aki bows very deeply.
You will help us when we begin our search. You will speak freely when we walk, tell me of things. Do not be constrained. For the time that we are here, your loyalty is to us, not to Atsuo. Aye?
Hi.
Good. So he would probably have them all come together to discuss things. Father as well. He's a bit averse to the Gaijin, but guns looks good. And just kind of address them and let them know what the plan would be as far as going to the Teahouse. Now you, Mitsutaka, you are familiar with the workings of this industry. What do you think we should expect when we go to a Teahouse full of Ita?
Mitsu strokes his chin for a moment. It will be different. As you know, the Ito do not behave like civilized social people. But the madam, she will be the same. Money. Money is what she wants.
I see. You will be responsible for speaking with this woman. I trust you know the ins and outs of the business. I have some funds given to me to make reasonable exchange for information, but we will brook no disrespect from the madam.
Hi.
Look around and Onozaki-san, what are your thoughts on the matter? What precautions do you think we shall take? Or what do you propose we do in our search?
He takes a sip of the sake and he's been looking around, watching out the windows if he can at all, or the entire time, pretty much.
Yeah,
He
sure.
says, yeah, he says, I am interested in these Ronin and their leader. Perhaps we should find out more about him, where he might be at. Aki,
Hi.
little ears, you probably hear much of what Makiko has to say. Do you have any idea where Makiko is?
She shakes her head. Unfortunately, I do not send my son. I am only guide and serve when they allow me to. I do not know where she is gone.
What do you know of this baseless Cur Hinotaro, the Ronin, the Kabuki Mono, the leader of that trash? Have you heard anything of this one?
I've heard. Oh, go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna.
Yeah.
I've heard a few rumors, mostly of the. He's mostly involved in robbery and theft. Mostly of the Ita, occasionally of some of the merchants when they are left unaware. He is fairly notorious, and sometimes he will murder Ita occasionally in the street for no reason.
Yeah, and you guys know that that term. That would be what is called tsitsugiri. crossroads killing. Basically, samurai or kabukimono might just walk down the street and cut someone down to test a new sword, or just because they feel like it. It's looked down upon, but not terribly uncommon, especially in a place like this.
And this generally happens at night.
Anytime, really.
Anytime? Okay.
Yeah.
Zaki looks to Katsuyori with a kind of a frown, and he says, I wrote to your sister explaining that I would be meeting up with you, and I knew you had turned into a fine Bushi. I was afraid that the rumors of Honno-Ji were true, and it looks to be worse than I thought. There will be much danger, I fear. And he looks over to the others, like Father Faustino. First time he's really regarded him with any type of respect, and he nods to him. And then he nods to Mitsutaka and says, do you know how to defend yourselves in a fight, if it comes to that?
And Father Faustino looks over at Mitsutaka and then looks over at Onosaki. And he says, well, I have been trained on the basic use of these rifles, this black powder. Should I need to? Should I? And he looks a little more contemplative. Should I absolutely have to? I am able to use this rifle, but there is no situation where I would want to do that.
He nods to him. Of course not.
Yeah, I was saying that this might be a pretty foreign concept to samurai who are trained killers from birth, pretty much.
Yeah. Katsuyori looks a bit confused when Faustino is talking about pacifism, but then looks to Mitsutaka.
Why would you not want to use that, man?
Yeah, precisely. But then he looks to Mitsutaka. And you, do you have some skill?
Mitsu twirls a dagger before hiding it back away. Gives a slight bow. Hi.
Oh, very well. It's back.
And then Zaki looks over at Aki. And how about you? And he smiles.
When I can, I am not a trained combatant by any means, am I, some? I know how to slip in and out of situations if I need to. I'm not strong enough to engage in violence.
That is fine, girl. Just be safe should the blades come out. To the father. And you, Gaijin. You wish to go around and speak to people with us?
And Father Faustino looks at him. Well, I know that my presence here among some, and he deferrally nods towards Katsuyori, isn't as welcome as they are to others. But I have been speaking to others already. I have been speaking to people that are probably going unnoticed by you. People who deserve to be noticed by someone. if not by their own people, then by the Father in heaven, who will notice them and love them.
Yeah, and Katsuyori kind of leans back, a bit of a smirk on his face. Ah, how familiar am I with the Gaijin religion, Jet?
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh
ask about
boy, give me a lore versus an 18.
Can I go ahead and do that too?
Yeah, sure, anybody can.
Sorry, what was it?
Lore, 18.
Oh, that's probably a bomb. Oh, I don't know that I'm trained in this.
Be untrained.
Yeah, if you don't have a skill in it, yeah. Yeah, Katsuyori, you don't know much of anything. Aki, you don't know much of anything.
I do have a skill in lore.
Yeah, then you can do trained. Yeah, Onozaki, you know a bit about it.
So my comment about, of course, was correct then. When he said something about not wanting to get into the fight, and I had said, of course, to Father Faustino, and says, comes to danger, is it your God that protects you, or is it the rifle?
And Faustino, his smile gets just a little wider. Of course, it's my God who protects me. It's my God who allows me to be here and walk in your land, who endears me to your magistrates and your leaders. It's my God that allows everything that I do. The rifle simply gets me through the door. And he laughs, and Mario looks up at him and laughs a little bit.
Katsuyori looks at Onozaki, and he just has a kind of demeaning look on his face, a smirk, and he looks back to the father. And if you wish to say whatever since you speak to those without class or right, then by all means, Gaijin, do as you will. Your rifles, they are of interest, particularly to the Imperial family, I would think. I may speak with you more about that. If you wish to aid in this, we may find a use for you. All I ask is that you do not hinder this process we are engaging in, or God will not protect you.
And Faustino nods. And he says, I don't intend to be a hindrance. And the fact that, as you put it, my God has allowed me to already be here and a part of this group is proof enough to my heart that I am needed here and that I already am of some benefit.
Katsuyori shrugs. Maybe so, Gaijin. Maybe so. Looks to the others. I believe we should leave immediately. The day grows darker. We are no closer to uncovering the root of these problems. We should speak with the owner of the Teahouse, collect this information.
Onozaki sips the sake again. Hi.
I will lead you there.
And Katsuyori will rise.
As Mitsu gets to his feet, makes ready to travel.
Once they're ready to travel, Aki will lead them to Madame's tea house.
Yeah. As you head out of the boarding house, you walk out onto the dirt path, and Aki takes you down the street. You see the last of the sun falling behind Mount Fuji. And you turn the corner and you see lights coming from one building. Most of the other buildings are completely dark at this point. And that is the tea house. Outside the tea house, let me just swing over here. You approach the tea house, and there is one woman outside. She is clearly a geisha of some sort. Let me. She holds a fan. She's standing outside the doorway in, and the screen, I should say. She has a fan, and she's flickering it over her face as you approach. You can just see her eyes over the fan. The fan itself is made of, the embroidery on the outside of the fan is like a pelican and a sun and flowers. It's very ornate. This building in general just looks very out of place in Honno-Ji and what has happened to it.
Like it's still pretty nice.
Yeah,
well kept.
it's very well kept comparatively to everything else you've seen.
Mitsu looks around, sort of taking things in. Gives a slight nod.
Before
Approaches the woman.
Sorry, go ahead.
Good, Doc.
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
Before entering, Father Faustino kneels down and tells Mario to stay out here and keep his eyes open. And then he takes the large, cumbersome burlap sack from Mario and slings it over his own shoulders and heads inside.
As you approach the geisha, she bows, but keeps the fan in front of her face. Oh, samurai-sama. She seems surprised that two samurai have graced their presence. She seems completely non-reactive to seeing a geisha or someone else come, but seems kind of opposite of what it should be, right?
Katsuyori nods to the woman. You may raise your head. We wish to speak with your mistress, thinking of a proper term for it, the owner of this tea house.
Oh. Hi, it is Shinju. I take you there. Do you wish company? Conversation? Music? Poetry?
And Katsuyori will coyly look at Onozaki.
Onozaki will drop a decent coin, in her hand, or offer it to her, and he says, "Not for us, perhaps for the gaijin."
She looks over to Father Faustino and then back to you. Oh, you should talk to Shinju. If she so wishes it. Hi.
No. He says, "Very good."
She turns, pulling up her dress slightly, and walks inside, bringing you with her. They're inside. Let me cut the music back in. They're inside. You see a couple of geisha sitting around on the floor. One has a biwa next to her, which is a stringed instrument. It's kind of like I guess, a violin guitar combo thing. Um, there's sake on plates all around the room, awaiting anyone that might come in. There is no men in here just yet, and shuffling over to you is a tall woman, heavy geisha makeup. You can tell she's a little older, probably in her 30s, perhaps. Let me pull Shinju out. Go ahead, Matt, as Shinju.
Shinju comes out and looks to the four right now. And she looks, of course, both to the center. Sama. Welcome to my Teahouse. It is a deep honor for you to come. And she bows to the both of them. May I get you anything?
Cassio will look around and perhaps a place to sit and some drinks and a conversation with, he thinks of a word, my associate here. He gestures over to Mitsu.
Hey. And she makes a very small gesture to a few of the girls, and they quickly hurry off. Come with me. I can bring you to a place to sit. We can converse there. She stretches her hand and points down the hallway towards a sliding door, which one of the girls opens for the four of you.
Aki's gonna follow, and
Katsuyo will enter as well.
As does Mitsu. Has a seat on the floor.
Yeah, and Father Faustino, just looking around, slowly follows everyone in.
Yeah, the room is an ornate room, large in size. There is ukiyo-e art all over the walls, pictures of landscapes and other and geisha actually, and it's very very pleasant. There's beautiful colors inside, particularly for the time where many things are muted and dark. And so it's a very very a nice tea house from what everybody has experienced so far, which is clearly out of character of this area or what has become of it.
And so, in good Japanese fashion, Mitsu will begin his conversation with the madam by talking about other than what we came here to talk about. Your establishment is very nice.
Of course, thank you. I pride myself on keeping this very beautiful for those who would like to visit, such as yourselves.
These are troubled times.
Indeed they are. But fortunately for me and my girls, there is always a need for geisha.
Haha, this is true. How is it that you are able to keep things so nice when the rest of the area has fallen into such disrepair?
Like I said, there is always a need for geisha. and many do not tend to dirty a place where they see value.
Mitsu gives a bow as if to say the Japanese equivalent of touche.
And
Which brings me,
oh, go ahead.
which brings me to the reason for our visit. These fine gentlemen are here to investigate the rumors of strange happenings in this area.
At that point, the women that she had sent off to get the tea come in, and they bring you a cup of tea, and if you let them sit down beside you and get comfortable, and Shinju will smile. The happenings around here, you say? Yes, there have been many things happening in the area that are of some concern, of course, to do with the strange happenings since the Honno-Ji incident, for one.
Mitsu sips some tea. Any information you could share would be of great value, he says in a pointed fashion.
She smiled. Of course, there are many rumors, of course, from the Eater that they have seen a great many shadowy figures. They say they have seen yokai in the area since the incident. Of course, many of these things, the priest, Shinto priest in the area, unfortunately has dismissed a lot of these people, has pushed them aside, but it is not just one of them that has decided to at least tell these stories. It is a great priest. Hikaru has decidedly pushed those rumors down, which creates some suspicion. But I do not want to speak ill of the Shinto priest. She picks up her own tea and she sips it while looking to between the gentlemen.
And your girls, have they seen anything strange?
They will not talk about it, of course. It is unpleasant talk for a place such as this, normally. But some of the girls, they have seen things in the night, seen the shadows move in ways they are not supposed to. Heard of children crying when there are none there.
As she says that, PCs, will you give me a perception roll? That's under senses. Looking at the hot madam.
Let me see. Try to make sure, see if it is not trained. Oh,
The
boy.
man of God isn't distracted by
Fully
That's
distracted
right.
by the boys.
Dang.
By quote unquote
All right.
Mario.
I'm gonna whisper you something there, Doc. You guys can continue.
She looks to you as she mentioned. Unfortunately, it seems that some of these things could be true.
Takamaru frowns and he, looking at Mitsu, kind of gestures him closer to him and he whispers, Do not forget to bring up the Ita. We wish to know more about her clients, where one in particular can be found, the one known as Hinotaro. But continue. I trust your discretion. I am impressed.
Ah, Tomo. Is it Takumaru-sama?
Who's that?
If you refer to me as Takamoto-sama. He was
Yeah, is
asking.
Oh, Katsuyori-sama, probably.
Tomo Katsuyori-sama.
Katsuro will nod and lean back and continue drinking his tea.
And Father Faustino slowly stands up and bows. Is there a facility where one such as myself could relieve myself after all of this delicious tea?
A question, Ted.
Yeah.
In regards to how gaijin are looked upon in the tea house.
The Gaijin bathroom is across the street.
I mean, any bathroom would be outside. Gaijin bathroom, I mean, a gaijin would be seen pretty much like everybody else sees gaijin, but, I mean, if he's with the samurai, who are you to make a big stink?
I can have one of the geisha escort. And she motions very slightly to one of the girls who was sitting. She gets up.
Yeah, the geisha gets up. She puts the fan over her face, and those that are in the know, particularly Mitsutaka, this would be when a geisha is going to lose her quote unquote on, like make a face, make, that sort of thing. So she covers it so she doesn't give away the fact that she's disgusted. And she goes and walks with Father Faustino out into the hallway.
And when they get out into the hallway, Father Faustino turns to her and says, I know my way outdoors. I will find my own way there. Please go back and enjoy the company of the samurai who are waiting for you to entertain them.
Yeah, she pauses for a moment and then simply bows, "Height," and she turns around and begins to scoot back towards the door. Father Faustino, what are you doing?
I sent you a...
Yeah. Okay. Are you just looking down the hallway, or...
Yeah, the first thing is I step out into the hallway and look up and down the hallway.
Yeah, you don't see anything obvious at this point. There's other... you do see some geisha in the main room. They're sitting there waiting for any other customers. There's actually one at the doorway talking to someone. But you don't see this particular person.
Okay, I look around a little bit, and after not noticing anything, I head back into the room and sit down with the rest of the group.
How long did he take, approximately?
Not even 3 minutes, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's in and out pretty quick, but...
Shinju is waiting for the rest of you to ask any more questions of her.
And so Mitsu will resume their conversation. Your clientele, quite interesting. Not the norm, if you know what I mean.
And if I may ask what you are referring to?
The Ita.
Well, as you can tell in this area, in this district, there is, unfortunately, not a large clientele to be very choosy. But some are eater, some are merchants, some are peasants, and the like. Anyone who wishes the comfort of a geisha is allowed within my doors as long as they have coin.
Of course. There's one in particular whose name I have completely forgotten now.
That is Hinotaro.
Yes, the man Hinataro. I have heard he frequents your establishment.
Mm. And unfortunately, discretion is also one of the many luxuries that come with being here. You do understand.
Indeed.
At this point, Katsuyo would reach out, put just a hand on Mitsu's shoulder and nod. And then look to Shinju. Discretion. Discretion is very important. That can be agreed upon. But I would wonder, madam, to who do you think you owe the greater discretion? An Ita with a big name, or two samurai from proud houses?
Well, if it is you who are asking Samurai-sama, I will happily divulge any information that you need.
Very well. I'll take a drink from the tea. I would ask that if this one speaks with you, he would speak on my behalf in this sense. So, you may tell anything you wish to tell me to him. Answer his questions as if they were my own.
Of course, Samurai-sama.
Mitsu, please continue.
Mitsu gives a bow.
So what is it you wish to know?
I wish to know of this man's comings and goings.
From here specifically. He comes and goes occasionally. He is here every few nights or so. Unfortunately, there is no set schedule as to when he is here or not. He was here a few nights ago.
I see. Then perhaps he is due for another visit.
Hey. It is hard for people to stay away from my tea house.
As it should be, madam. Do you by chance know where this man stays when he is not visiting your tea house?
Shinju shakes her head. Unfortunately, I do not.
As this conversation's going on, Takamaru, or Katsuyori takes note of the laughter in the common room, perhaps assuming there are other guests. And looks to Mitsu. Ask for details on his appearance.
Of course. Can you describe him for us, please?
Of course. And Shinju will describe him.
Yeah, he's got a very long, bushy hair and beard. very wears very flamboyant clothes, blues and reds. Um, yeah, he would be easy to pick out. Would be your summation.
If I may ask, what is the interest that Samurai Sanma have in this man? It is but a poor district. I am pleased that someone is finally dealing with the issues, but I am just curious.
You have been fair with us, madam, so I will offer you a fair response in turn. This man, if he can be called that, he is a blight upon this district. Moreover, he may be responsible for darkness in this place. His influence, while I am quite certain the Shinto priest is sufficient to push back any evil spirits or yokai, it may be that these evil spirits are men misinterpreted as such. And when one looks for trouble in a district that suffered, one only need look to the bottom before rising to the top.
Unfortunately, the Shinto priest does deny any darkness within the area, but I understand what you mean. It could be the acts of man.
I am relieved to see you share a... Continues to look towards the door. Will you excuse me for a moment?
Of course.
And Katsuyori will look towards Onozaki.
Zaki nods to him, kind of understanding what he's doing. He'll rise too, and taking a last sip of his tea and putting it down.
And Katsuyori is going to go see if there's anyone who matches that description.
Mizaki will follow him.
Father Faustina will turn and kind of crane his neck as they stand up to walk out, and he'll turn back and nod at Shinju and the other geisha and smile and just continue sipping his tea.
Yeah, you can see out in the common room. It's right there. It's not hard to see. Katsuyori and Onozaki, as you kind of head in that direction, there's a man with a geisha. He doesn't necessarily match Hinotoro's description. However, he is wearing very prominent clothing, and he does have a dashio on his hip, meaning that he is at least in a ronin. And from what he's wearing, probably a kabu kimono as well. He is like talking and laughing and drinking sake next to a geisha who is entertaining him by just speaking to him currently.
I think Katsuyori would try for subtlety first. And just try to stand very near to the man, almost uncomfortably so.
Yeah, he is. Are you trying to be stealthy about it, or
no? Not at all. He wants to be taken note of.
Yeah, for a moment he ignores you. He just thinks you're somebody passing by, but then he looks over his shoulder. He's like, "Who you?" And he gets to his feet and takes a slight step back, looking you over. He obviously recognizes that you're a samurai, he seems to give him some pause, as if he's surprised by this.
Yeah, Katsuyori will look down to the geisha that was there. Pardon me. Would you please step elsewhere for a moment?
Yeah, she's already scooching off.
He would look up and...
Aki's gonna walk over to him as well. Like both of his hands on his hips at the moment. Standing probably about 6-7 feet away from Katsuyori and to the side of the man.
Katsuyori will look at the man. And... You wear very boisterous colors and a weapon at your hip. Are you a Ronin?
He frowns for just a moment. Aye, my lord. He kind of gives you a sideline glance. Was Mitsuhide, the vanquisher of Oda Nobunaga.
A man who was once considered a great man, now looked down upon by many, somewhat unjustly perhaps.
And you are here. Why? Why do you interrupt me in my time of peace, of rest?
Because you have something I may want. Information on someone. You look like someone who might associate with such a man. Does the name Hinotaru sound familiar?
He narrows his eyes. Aye? What do you wish to know about Hinotaru, son?
Only where he can be found to be spoken with. Nothing more.
I believe I will let Hinotaru decide who knows where he is.
I believe that you will let me know where he is, and I will decide when and where to speak with him.
Why do you think I would tell you such things?
Because dying does not suit a man so young.
He laughs. So, you wish to draw blades with me?
I would prefer to do it outside. The woman might get scared, get in the way. Seems unnecessary bloodshed.
He looks to you and... You and I, then? He obviously catches Onozaki out of the side of his vision. Or will you have your dog attack as well?
You would take care who you speak to as a dog, Ronin. Perhaps, with such an insult, I should let him cut you down.
Ah, look at you. Never seen a battle, I guess. Would be my guess. A pup.
Now you insult us both. Baseless. Then let us step outside, you and I.
He nods. Aye, I will enjoy killing you.
I will enjoy making you exactly where Master resides, beast, and then severing your head from your neck. Come, outside.
Yeah, everybody's hearing this exchange from the other room. They're talking with raised voices, and all the geisha are deathly silent.
We can hear that from the other
Oh
room,
yes, oh yes.
yes. Shinju will excuse herself from the two still sitting in the room, get up, and she'll make her way out into the main room, and she'll watch the two engage, staring at the both of them.
And after hearing that, Father Faustino pushes the tea away and stands up and walks out as well to see what's going on.
Before they walk out, Onozaki is gonna whisper, just so that Katsuyori can hear. I promised your sister or your mother, I would protect you. And he laughs. He says, maybe I should be the one to fight this one. He starts to go out before him if Katsuyori lets him.
No, Katsuyori grabs his arm. The challenge has been made. My honor has been questioned. If I'm to be killed by a baseless Ronin, with no master and no honor, then let my name disappear into the wind. Tell my family that I died a fool. It makes little difference to the dead.
And Onozaki closes his eyes for a minute and then nods to him and gives him a bow. Smile.
Alright. The Ronin heads out before you, and he turns around in the street waiting for you to come outside. Ah. Well then, let's see whose blade cuts deeper.
Katsuyori comes out and takes his position. It is your last chance, Kabukimon. I give you mercy if you surrender now. Give me what I wish. If you do not, I take your hand, then your head once you have given me what I want. It is generous from me.
Yeah, go ahead and give me an intimidation roll.
See if it's trained. Huh? It's gonna laugh me off. That's alright.
Oh, it wasn't trained and you still roll. Oh, man. Alright, let me see here. Alright. This is not going to be easy for him.
I don't know why that read art, but it's the same dice pool, so.
So he gets out there. He puts his hand on the hilt of his katana. He thinks about it for a moment. He looks at Onozaki nearby. He just thinks what happens if he actually does win, and if this samurai with a nodachi on his back is going to cut him in half. And he's like, aye, very well. I only wish to keep my standing in the Teahouse. Make me look like big man. You wish to know where Hino Toro lives.
Hi.
And if I say you know, attack me then.
If you tell me, and if you request my forgiveness in credulous words towards myself and my fellow, yes, I will allow you to go back into this tea house. I will speak nothing to the geisha. They will think you are so strong.
He nods. Very well. And he points down the street in this direction. It is the house on the right. The last one. It has a fence around the back.
Very good. And now your apologies are in order.
He frowns very deeply. Hi. He gets on his knees and puts his head to the ground. My apologies, Samurai-sama.
For
using... for insulting you needlessly.
And Onozaki-san, do you accept this man's apology?
Onozaki's gonna pull out his weapon.
He, are you doing it stealthily or just...
Oh, he just pulls it out.
Okay. Are you going to attack him?
No. He just stands there with it, like the Nodachi facing him. And then, and he says, I accept. Says, he says,
Yeah. He looks,
Yeah.
he's like looking up from the ground, like petrified.
says, yeah, remember your respect next time.
Hi.
Kazuo looks at Onozaki with a bit of surprise, and returns to very neutral face and looks, and I too accept your apology. May it be a sincere one that requires no other action. Or perhaps such grace will not be offered by me again. Now go.
He slowly picks himself off the ground, beats the dust off his knees, and ducks back into the tea house without saying a word.
You know I would have had to have killed him.
I would have dealt with such a man. He was drunk and a fool. And if he killed me, I would not care what you do.
He would have never have killed you. And he laughs and pats his shoulder.
Perhaps you think too greatly of me, Onozaki-san. Come, let us go back in. I am certain that we did not lighten the mood.
As you turn to go back in, Father Faustino, you actually see someone stumble into the street over here. And the reason it catches your eyes is you think it's the same person you saw before.
And Father Faustino, after seeing that, looking back and seeing that Onosaki and Katsuyan have fared well, he smiles over at Mitsutaka. He's holding on to his rosary, and he smiles at him and says, I prayed that everything would go our way this evening, and look, the Lord has answered. And with that, he walks off to find the person stumbling in the street.
You see a woman, quite beautiful actually. From what you can tell, she's dressed as a geisha. She stumbles into the street, and she has blood all over her dress, and she just collapses into your arms, essentially.
Father Faustino, as he catches her, he yells out for Mario to come to him, and he catches the young woman, and he asks her, "Are you hurt? Are you hurt?" Just trying to gauge what is happening.
She seems barely conscious.
And,
we hear this going on.
Oh
You're
yeah,
aware of this?
yeah. It's
Alright,
just
okay,
around the
over.
corner.
And Father Faustino picks her up and starts carrying her back over towards the group.
Did this.
What is this? What have you found, Gaijin? And he looks over.
And she starts to speak as you have her in your arm. Looking in. Stabbed. I hurts. Help, please.
And Father Faustino, he turns to the group and says, I believe I saw her earlier. She was looking into the room where we were having tea, and she ran after looking at us for moments.
And Katsuyori's eyes narrow and find a table quickly. He starts looking around for some place where they can put her up on soon.
We were just outside the tea house, right?
Yeah, you're outside.
I'm hesitant to bring her back in there is the reason I was asking.
Yeah, there's these houses next to you. Most of them are abandoned.
Yeah, I just probably barge into one if it's abandoned.
Yeah, I mean, even if there's
'Cause when-
people in there, who cares, right?
No, they're not going to stop us.
Yeah, there you can find a little house with a table in it. Sure.
Okay. So as he pushes the door open and we force our way in, Father Faustino finds a table and lays her onto the table.
Gaijin, you experience healing arts.
Let me find out.
I think the only person that has any skill in healing is Onozaki.
Is me?
Onozaki.
Oh, I have.
Oh, you
some
do?
Too.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Father Faustino looks at him and says, I know a little. I have trained with the missionaries. I can help some.
Katsuyori nods and looks over. Onozaki-san.
Onozaki nods too. Well, then help me, Gaijin.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Onozaki, I think, is a little better.
Okay, so can I assist?
Yes, you can give him a benefit from assisting. Okay.
Okay.
So, you see that there's blood just gushing out of from underneath her robes, and there is a wound there clearly. Give me a. Let's go ahead. You guys can do an investigation roll. Anyone can.
I've got nothing in that.
Just checking to see if I'm skilled. in
Yeah,
that.
you can just roll it from your sheet too if you.
I'm not trained in that.
Oh wow, nice roll though. You're not trained.
Oh.
Oh, it didn't explode, man. That's still a good roll. Let me whisper you something. Onozaki-san.
Azumi looking.
say.
Oh, you go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, you're kind of looking her over. She just keeps muttering. She's very pale. She seems to be kind of reaching out, almost feeling around. Yamato, please, child.
Can
And-
anyone understand what she's saying?
Get what she was saying?
I don't know.
I didn't understand a word.
It was mostly just mumblings.
Yeah, she's just like fever dream mumbling.
Okay. Onozaki will say we need to put pressure on the wound and to tie it up. And he says it looks like some kind of animal did this.
And Faustino will take a water bladder out and give her a small sip of water.
She takes a sip of water, but she coughs most of it. and splattering on the mess of a dress she now wears.
All right. So healing. The way it works is actually 1 second.
I've only got a 1 in it.
Yeah, but you got a 4 in the thing, right? So
Oh yeah.
In the primary attribute.
yeah. So you have to roll a healing roll versus the levels of success that gave the wound. In this case, it's 30 is your TN. So there is a... Let's see. There is a handout for healing. This is a critical wound. So, critical wounds. Attributes are lowered by 2. The attribute and primary associated skills are lowered by 1. And then if a healing roll meets the levels of success, you restore 1 attribute. If the healing is the level of success plus 5, it adds 2 attributes. And if it is plus 11, it heals up to 3 attributes. So the thing is, let's see. Sorry, let me...
Target's 30.
Yeah, the target's 30, and you're going to have a benefit from Father Faustino, and you can use Fate if you want. So you can spend Fate. You could spend it for 1 benefit, or you can burn it for... You can burn 1 of your Fate points, which means forever goes away for an extra 20 to your roll.
Ooh. And can that be declared after the roll is failed?
No, it has to. Oh, actually, burning can. Hold on 1 second. I gotta fix something real quick, but
Save it then, because I only have 1.
yeah, that would be it for sure.
Do you have any fate, Father?
The person making the roll should spend the fate.
Okay.
Let's see. 0. Yeah.
Have to be.
Now she has an attribute that is currently at 0. So what happens if she stays at 0? She stays unconscious. So you need to get her above that. Makes sense.
Right, here we go.
So make sure you can, before you roll, you can spend a fate point too, and that just gives you an extra benefit. Those replenish basically whenever I say, so it'd probably replenish after this session.
Okay, let's do that. I'll do that. I'll burn the... Oh, not burn it. I'll spend the fate point now. Damn. But plus 20.
You don't see anything, Raven,
Burn it.
at all?
No.
Oh, that's weird.
I don't see his oh no, I do see his token down here. Maybe just pull this thing back out from the sheet.
Yeah, let me do that. Alright, give me a second while I fix this. How about now?
Still a big blank white.
Still a big blank white?
Yes.
I wonder if
Have you
it's
refreshed it?
I wonder if his token's jacked up. Hold on.
Well, here, I'll pop out and back in.
Yeah, I don't... Token's good. Edit. Am I on the right screen? Yep. You're in the right layer, right? Yep. Anything?
Nada. Anyway, don't worry about it right now.
That's so
Go
weird.
ahead.
Hold on. Let me try one other thing.
Theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I've been doing so far, and it's been fine.
Oh,
so,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. That's terrible.
Well, it just dawned on me when you said something a minute ago to somebody about over here, and I was like, oh, wow, I wonder if I'm supposed to be seeing something.
Yeah. How about now? Do you see anything now?
Negative.
Man, I don't know.
What is strange and enlightening?
Everybody else sees the village, right?
Yeah, it's all good to me.
Yep.
Can you
And he has
change?
access-
Can you change your name to Raven or Mitsutaka
Yeah.
or something?
That
Sure.
might be it.
Could be.
We can take a 5-minute bio real quick before we make
Yeah.
this roll. We're almost done here for tonight.
All right, I'll be right back.
We're definitely gonna have to use your recording there, chat, because for some reason the music has not worked at all this entire game.
That's fine. You can't hear anything?
I've heard it like at the beginning, but for some reason it's just nada right now.
Huh.
I'm gonna try something really quick. Let's see if it works.
Still nothing, Raven?
Yeah, nothing.
I'm confused. Truly
That's
confused.
so weird. Maybe drag out a new token for him?
I have.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I just dropped one of me, or I think I did, and I can't see it.
I don't see the one you dropped. Am I in
Well,
the right? Am I in the
maybe,
right
maybe
layer?
I did.
Map layer. Token layer. I am at a complete loss.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and close Chrome. What the hell?
Okay, you're all has sight.
Okay, new browser.
What is the the quick key for seeing through somebody else's vision as a
I think
GM,
it's
do you know?
Control L. Oh, now I hear music.
Control L.
I think so.
I don't see. It didn't really do anything.
Either Shift L or Control L. I might have to experiment on my own because I think it's L. Let me see.
Still nothing.
Nope.
And the hell. Turning off site. Turning on site. You could see the other screens though?
No.
What?
You haven't been able to see anything.
Other than when you popped out handouts.
Oh God.
Anyway, I'm sorry I derailed us.
No. Well, we're
Oh.
everybody's going to the bathroom anyway. I am completely don't know what this
Yeah,
going on.
I'm a little stumped.
Let me remove you from the character sheet and re-add you. That didn't do anything, right?
Doesn't appear to have.
Can you see me like shift clicking around the screen? Do you see it moving? Like,
Oh well, yeah. The scroll bar just moved a little bit.
okay, so you must be on the right screen at least. Let me give you like sight on somebody else real quick.
Have we considered that maybe Raven is losing his actual sight?
Oh shit! Full blind.
I don't want to go there yet, but
Oh crap!
I think we have to start considering.
I can't
the
even see
possible-
my monitor. So do you see anything now? I gave you sight on Onozaki, like a completely different token.
That's control. Ow.
What layer is he on?
He's on the token layer.
He is. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Still don't see anything anywhere.
What platform are you using? Google? Are you using Google Chrome, Mozilla?
Google Chrome. This is a Windows box, as much as that pains me.
Do you have something else you can a different internet provider, like a different internet platform you can use?
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, you should have sight on Onozaki and yourself now, so you see stuff, right, Rogue?
I know Chrome starts shit occasionally when Roll20. I've had it happen before where we go to a different one entirely and it's fine, and vice versa.
Well, he's never seen anything. Like, do you see the start page? You see anything now, Raven?
1 sec. I'm
Sure.
moving to a different browser.
Sure.
Negative.
I mean, this doesn't even have dynamic lighting on it.
So let's go.
What a mystery.
I'm really confused. Token has sight. That's usually what it
Is
is.
the token and tokens assigned to his sheet?
Oh yeah. I gave him sight on Rogue's guy too.
So, let me think. Is there an option to set as someone in the bottom right? Because sometimes that fixes it. So, like, if he can set as Buju Mitsutaka or something like that. Let me see if that's an option.
On where? Oh, you mean like the represents character part?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much
I'll
that's really.
flip
I've
it
seen
off
it
and
before.
I'll flip it back on. It's just weird because he doesn't see anything even on the screen, this intro screen, which has no dynamic lighting on it. Like, he should be able to see it even if there weren't any tokens on the screen.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think it's a token thing.
It hasn't seen anything this whole time.
No.
Negative.
Oh shit! You're a trooper, man. That would have been a huge stink for me 5 minutes in.
Yeah. Tonight, guys, we just won't be looking at anything.
Wow, third browser and I got it.
Really?
What is it?
That is bizarre.
Opera is working fine, apparently.
That's
weird, man.
That is bizarre.
Hmm.
And you can't, so you can see this.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm in here now.
Okay, that is, I have no idea what to say about that. No clue. Thank you for sticking with us. You should have just said something. I would have definitely.
Theater of the Mind was fine, but then I don't know. I think it was Matt. Maybe somebody said, "Do you see this over here?" And I was like, "Oh."
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So. Oh man, I'm sorry about that. Okay. So we're gonna roll healing.
Well,
Yep,
clearly not your
healing.
fault.
Yeah.
Chrome is obviously freaking out.
Yeah, that's weird though. Okay. Healing roll. Your TN is 30. You get 1 benefit from Father Faustino. You can spend a you can spend your fate point if you want to give yourself a benefit, or you could burn it after the roll is done if you need it to add 20 to your roll. So that is completely up to you, Rogue.
What does a benefit do?
It gives you an extra rolled die.
Oh, so he gets 2 extra die.
if
If
he
spends it.
uses it as a spend instead of a
Yeah.
burn. Yeah.
Get 2d10.
Yep. You would just it says where it says benefits, just put in 2 if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I'll do that because I don't want to really like burn the whole thing.
Okay.
Not have one anymore.
Yep.
So I just go onto the fate and just drop it down to 0 for now.
Put current as 0.
They both just disappear. For some reason, they both just disappear. I don't think there's a...
Yeah, there's a current bar. I'll look at it, but go ahead and just make your roll. I'll fiddle with that.
All right, here we go.
Oh.
Come on.
There is not a. Oh yeah. Huh. Oh.
That was weird. It just didn't have one on the side there.
I'll have to go fix that in the sheet. I don't know what's wrong with it. Okay.
There we go. Healing. 2 benefits.
Oh, that's because you do it over in the stat modifier portion. It's okay.
Trained. No additional mods.
No.
Oof.
Ooh. Ooh.
That was horrible.
No.
Oh no.
No. Damn. Is that right? That can't be right.
I have a 6, a 9, a 1.
Why are you
and a
dropping
9.
3?
Yeah, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
So you're okay. So oh no, you would drop 3, yeah, because you would keep.
But yeah, I'm trained, right? I wouldn't drop the 3, right?
You would drop 3, but you should be rolling more die, I think.
Yeah, where's the 4 of his
So-
benefit in the...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So 4-1, and then he has a benefit from
Yeah, let's
Doc
see.
and a benefit from his fate, right? So he should roll 7.
Yeah.
Unless my math is
he should roll. So he has 4 intellect. He has 1. Yeah. Did you put any? It's like you didn't put any benefits in there. But you wouldn't drop 3. You would only drop 1. Hold on.
I believe I put 2
Let me
in there.
let me test it. Let me test the button. Trained.
Yeah, experiencing.
Okay, so
technical
that's
difficulties.
correct.
Yeah, I'll take that roll.
That's that's correct.
It's really not too much. So he would. Well, how would we alter the original roll then? He would just roll. He would just keep 2 more dice, right?
He would. Well, hold on. Yeah, maybe. Hold on. I just want to see if this is what's going on here. Yeah, that's busted. That's not right. Let me make sure. Make sure. All right. Let's see something here.
So the benefit portion of the macro is busted?
I guess I don't know. I'd have to do more investigation.
Looks like
But
it's working. in some
that was working because. Okay, that one's correct. So it's just healing that's broke. Okay. So actually, he would roll 2 more die. So go ahead and roll 2d10.
Just do 2d10 down here. Yeah.
Yeah. Healing
Let's
just
see.
Well, in those 2 survival rolls, why is the first one drop 1 and the second one drop 3?
because the first one had no benefits attached
Okay.
to it. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So 9.
So,
so
the
on
2
the
would be dropped, and
Yeah, no, he drops 3, but he rolls. He keeps. He's gonna keep 4. So it would be 9, 9, and 6. No, 9, 9, 9, 6.
Yeah.
So 927. He 33.
Yep. So that's a success. Okay, so that's just barely a success. So that's enough to bring her to consciousness. So how does that look as you are able to like stem the tide of blood flow?
Yeah. So as father, as the father's like wrapping her up, I guess he's Onizaki's putting pressure on the wound and trying to get them to do trying to get them to help out as fast as possible because he sees her fading out, And he says, I think we may have stopped the blood. Maybe your god does help.
And Father Faustino, with his eyes wide and his hands covered in blood as he's tearing off strips of cloth and wrapping them around her and kind of tying them in a tight knot at Onosaki's direction. He looks down at the young boy, Mario, and he smiles at him to try and alleviate some of his fear and concern, and then nods over at Onosaki and just says, well, God certainly had a hand, but it was your hand that saved this woman. Thanks to you.
Ozaki nods to him and he knows he wouldn't have saved her by himself, and then he puts a palm to her forehead. You hear me?
She's fairly warm, and she opens her eyes a little bit and slowly nods.
Onozaki looks over to Katsuyori. Perhaps we should take her back with us to the lodge.
Katsuyori looks out, wanting to go to the house where he knows that Kabukimono is frowns. Fine, but we cannot tarry too long.
Looks from her body over towards the house and back to the father. Did she come from that house there? Asking the father if she wandered out of the house across the street.
Yeah, it would be impossible to say. You didn't see.
Yeah. Father Faustino looks at him. I didn't see where she came from. I saw her shadow stumble in the street, and I went to her.
The wound, it looked like some sort of creature.
Yeah, you both look down at the wound at this point, and you see there's like 3 gashes across her abdomen. And they're not like straight blades like a dagger. They're kind of rigid and torn, as if some animal might have done it or something like that.
We will take her back to the house, and then we will ask her questions.
Father Faustino nods in agreement. Yes, but first, these wounds must be cleaned and closed if she is to survive your questioning.
It will take place during the line of it, and perhaps the quality of care would depend on what sort of answers we receive.
And she's not fully lucid, but she looks over to Katsuyori. You came some way.
Of course. And he kind of squints. How do you know of her coming?
You got my letter.
And his eyes go wide with the realization. You are the magistrate?
She closes her eyes and she puts her head back down on the table, nodding very slowly.
And Katsuyori looks shocked, not realizing who it was. We will take her immediately for care. Quickly, let us go.
You carry this woman, badly injured, back to your room. Kiichi is nowhere to be found, so no one gives you any issues, and you can walk just straight in. Let me switch the scene real quick. You all walk in, and she is in and out of consciousness as you do. And go ahead and take it from there.
And Katsuyori would look to the father and Onozaki. Do what you can. She must live. To Aki. Go.
Hey,
Do you have any doctor of repute in this place?
I can go and find one. Find one here.
Do it quickly.
And Aki quickly takes off into the night to try and find a doctor or someone equivalent who's the best one that she knows.
Mitsu follows the girl, not wanting her to run around here in the dark with whatever's going on.
Yeah, you go in to follow her, leaving these guys behind.
Father Faustino follows Onosaki into the room that he's carrying Kyoko into, and he, gripping his rosary beads, he turns to Mario. Quickly, we need hot water, we need clean dressings, cloth, bandages, anything that you can find. We need a sewing needle and a candle with flame. We need all these things as soon as we can get them. And he fathers Onosaki into the room to continue tending to Kyoko.
Yeah, Mario's mouth goes agape, wondering where he's gonna get all this stuff. He walks out into the other room, and you just hear him rummaging around. Kyoko, you are conscious, but in great pain.
Her eyes gonna flutter open. She lets out a bit of a groan. She looks at the new place that she's in now. I was safe.
And Father Faustino looks down at her. We will keep you safe, young woman. We will keep you safe.
Young woman. I am Moi Makiko Gaijin.
And I am Father Faustino, your humble servant. And he nods and bows to her.
Zaki just a serious look. He's still kind of trying to keep pressure on the wound until more help arrives, and on the wrapping, just holding her there. He says, who did this to you? Or what did this to you?
It is Mordor and my son. I don't know exactly what it was. It was some sort of yokai that came out and attacked me. I did not have my weapons.
We must come with our questions. You should not speak, Lady Magistrate, until you have had a chance to rest.
Okay.
Onozaki nods and looks towards Katsuyori. Kind of worried look on his face.
It's rubbing his chin, looking at the wound. Father Faustino, Gaijin, do you require Onozaki to aid you at this time? Can you keep it from getting worse until the girl comes back with help?
Father Festino looks over at Onozaki and looks over to Katsuyori and then down to Makiko. Well, she is not completely well yet, obviously, but the bleeding has been stemmed and should only get better from here. I will tend to her, make sure the bandages stay tight, the wounds are cleaned. She should be okay.
He will return to aid you shortly. I must speak with you a moment, Onozaki-san.
Hi. Nods to the father before following Katsuyori over there, grabbing a rag and kind of wiping the blood off of his hands.
You step out into the hallway a little bit away so that they can speak directly and hopefully without ears overhearing. Onozaki-san, what is it? Makiko-sama? Makiko-san, I would refer to her as.
She would be San.
What Makiko-san speaks concerns me. I would say, just out of character, Onozaki, Onozaki might know that Katsuyori is not very superstitious when it comes to spirits. He gives them the proper due at face value, but he's very grounded, I would say, for the time, and is more focused on the material. And do you think that it is a yokai, or that Makiko-san maybe suffers some sort of confusion with such dire strait?
And I would say Onozaki is probably, him being older, maybe he does still kind of believe a little bit in the yokai and legends and stuff, and hasn't totally dismissed it, so he says, I've seen many strange things. I will not dismiss it, though. Could be true, what she says. Then again, there are some poisons, perhaps, that could dull the mind.
What did you see on the wound?
3 marks, like as if a claw, but not like the blade.
And Katsuyori rubs his chin. Am I familiar with? Could give the appearance of that of an animal attack, but is perhaps a weapon, just from.
Give me a investigation roll.
Yeah.
It's not bad. The way he describes it is kind of, and what you saw, the only thing you could think of is there was some weapons like modified weapons, kind of like a ninja. Their claws to climb with. You've had very brief interactions with them, never actually in person, but you've heard of them using claws to climb. But when you looked at it, it was like almost serrated. So no is the answer, and you're pretty sure that there's no weapon that you're aware of that can make that sort of gash.
Scratches his chin.
Yeah, the villagers around were worried about the yokai as well. Perhaps there is some truth to this story.
Perhaps. But it is strange. She disappears. She, according to what the gaijin said, was looking upon us at the meeting. And then we find her injured, not a few steps away from the very building we had traveled to for information. Interesting agenda for yokai to have. You know me, Onozaki-san. I am a skeptic when it comes to these sort of things. Perhaps it is a spirit, but there are many coincidences.
As you were talking, Aki, Mitsutaka, and Hatsuo walk into the building. He looks frantic. Oh, Samurai-sama, you found Makiko-san.
Turns around and looks. Hi. Did we require a doctor or someone with some medicine?
He frowns. Unfortunately, that is me.
Well, the magistrate's very life may rest in your hands. Please, do what you can.
He steps past you and pushes into the room. Makiko, you're definitely conscious now, the throbbing in your stomach keeping you awake as this gaijin is bandaging you up. You see Hatsuo walk into the room, who is your trusted Yoriki.
I'm happy you came.
Where have you been, Magistrate-sama?
That is for the other time. Get his wounds patched up.
He nods and begins to help Father Festino, and I will let you guys give your closing roleplay for tonight.
Onozaki will look over to Katsuyori. After he watches the doctor go over there, or the healer, and kind of keeps his voice low. It says, "It is strange that she summons us and then hides in the shadows to watch us.
It has been some time since the letter was sent. It may be that the magistrate is a very proactive woman and did not wish to wait for us to arrive, but I am more interested in the coincidence of her injury after we have sought information at this Teahouse." He scratches his chin. There is no more for tonight. We should try to rest, give her a chance to recover, and speak with her on the morrow.
Agree.
Father Festino, after Mario returns with all the things, he looks over at Hatsuo, who has come into the room, nods to him, and tells Mario to assist him with anything he needs as well, and offers his assistance in any way he can. But barring that, Father Faustino stands up and moves to one of the corners of the room, stays in the room so that he can be of service, but then sits down in one of the corners, washes his hands. As the blood kind of just streams off of his hands into a small basin. He reaches into his coat and pulls his rosary out and begins to pray as everyone else goes about their business.
Mitsutaka, what is your last thoughts as you walk in with Hatsuo to this mangled woman, getting a bit more than you probably bargained for?
He's perplexed. He doesn't understand what sort of animal would be in the city that would leave a wound like this. But the people who seem to know about these things think that's what it is. So that's where the night leaves him, is wondering if maybe evil spirits are afoot.
Yeah, as the four of you look down at Makiko-san, injured, her eyes fluttering closed finally, and passing out from the pain and injuries. The night is full upon you now, and eventually you'll need to rest. And then the new day will dawn for new questions, and that's where we'll leave it.
Woohoo!
Nice.